Hey guys, back with something a bit different. I'm going to show you the horror section of my movie collection. It's pretty modest, but there's a few interesting titles in here that you might not have seen or heard of, but also the classics. And while I collect only movies I really like, I'm a sucker for the franchises. So, with the likes of, not Friday the 13th and Elm Streets, there's a couple of fizzes in there, but have their collection. But other than that, I just want the choice cuts, what I'm after. And yeah, I'll start with the coolest bits first. I recently got this. This was a release in the beginning of 2002, the Evil Dead Book of the Dead's limited edition latex book. Yeah, there. It's like a really elaborate book on the inside, really cool. This is still sealed, and I've only got it sort of recently. Been debating whether to open or not, but I think I might keep it sealed. Really cool edition because it's one of my favourite movies of all time, and definitely a must-have horror movie, Evil Dead. And here I have that's Anchor Bay release, and this is also Anchor Bay. Evil Dead 2. It's I'm not too fussed on the cover art here. This is a steel tin edition. It's got a book inside, 46-page book. It's one of 50,000 limited edition, and the books, the pictures aren't that high res and stuff, but it's better than the bog standard edition of Evil Dead 2 I had, so good to have. But what I really am stoked with is this. It's such a classic movie, and not only is it Hellraiser, but you also get Hellraiser 2 in this. Now, in my part of the world in Australasia, Hellraiser 2, which is the only one worth watching apart from the original, which is a classic, is what didn't get Australasian release. It's rare as, can't find it down this bottom of the world down here, and this encompasses both, and it's really cool. It's got a really cool booklet in here. Might just quickly open the thing to show you. Really nice lush book with heaps of production notes, etc. And flyers for the movie, art cards. So yeah, that's that. Good bang for your buck there. Once again, it's one of 50,000, and you get Hellraiser 1 and 2. And as I said, out of all the Hellraiser movies that came after it were absolute crap. Don't bother with them, but the first two are classics. Okay. First we have here is The Prowler. This is an early 70s slasher flick. Quite well done. All set around a sort of a dorm with the Prowler about. American Werewolf in London, absolute classic. Amazing costumes and special effects, with no CGI, how it really should have been done. Great. Inside, this is an extreme horror. It's French, and not for the faint-hearted, but horror fiends will just love this movie. Excellent. Dead Girl. This is a really original horror. Wasn't expecting much when I heard about it, but it's a really unique spin on things, and a real hoot to watch. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Shadow of the Vampire, one of my favourite movies of all time, detailing the filming of Nosferatu. It's got William Dafoe and John Malkovich, Eddie Izzard in it, some great characters. It's just such an atmospheric, great movie. Martyrs, another extreme French horror that took people off guard a few years ago. Really hardcore, really good. I've got that on Blu-ray as well. Shaitan, this is French. Subtitle just like the other ones I mentioned that are foreign, and this is brilliant. This is sort of horror black comedy. Vincent Cassel, he's a great actor. I think this goes under a lot of people's radars, but I recommend this movie. It's so good. Bad Taste, Peter Jackson's first debut film. Brilliant low budget cheese, just so cool, and so New Zealand. Another New Zealand movie, The Ugly, really interesting psychological horror. Mario Bava's Twitch of the Death Nerve, cool cover art here, and a 70s classic Who Done It slasher. Carrie, the Stephen King classic. Hills Run Red. I got this after I saw a review by El Caro. One of the later movies, sort of I think 2009 or something, but it's a homage to the early 80s slashers. Zombie Holocaust. I think this came out with a slew of all the zombie movies in the 70s. It's sort of a bit of a rip-off, but it's quite cheesy and quite fun. Set in the Amazonian jungle, and you know, zombies limping around everywhere. Quite a hoot. Reanimator, absolute classic. One of my favourite movies ever. Planet Terror, great zombie movie that Tarantino brought out. Some cool actors there, really slick. Maniac, one of the most notorious slashers and one of the best, emulated by many. Vincent Price classic, House of Wax. I, Madman. Now this is an interesting horror about an author who, while writing these books, actually the character comes out, and it's quite unique, quite well done, and probably overlooked. Demons Among Us, haven't watched it yet. It's Australian horror, haven't heard too much about it, there's not much about it around. Eden Lake, pretty good British horror, sort of couple stalked in the woods, quite well done. Early British, I think, yeah, British horror, Tower of Evil, that's a real hoot, really well done. The classic Twilight Zone. Now this is a collection of short stories and not all of them are horror, but there's some definite horrific sequences in here, especially when I saw it as a kid. It freaked me out, especially the girl with no mouth. Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 3, such a classic. Oh, good old Trauma release, Terra Firma, totally out of it, totally bizarre. Seven, I don't know about that. The Tripper. Now this is who's the? Yeah, David Arquette. First movie produced and directed about it's a slasher set around like a Woodstock event. People just peace and love party, and then next minute. Tokyo Gore Police, over the top Japanese sci-fi horror, I guess. The Fly, The Exorcist, probably the greatest horror film and one of the greatest films of all time. Still probably the scariest I've ever seen. The Shining, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, brilliant. Another British horror, Asphyx, is quite an interesting premise here about a guy who's discovered how to transport the soul out of people. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, true classic. The Hills Have Eyes, got the early classic there. Storm Warning, this is a Australian film, Australian slasher, quite unique, quite freaky. Speaking of freaky, Antichrist, good old Lars von Trier. Very atmospheric, very bizarre. The horror maestro Argento with 3 of his movies here. Deep Red, Tenebrae, Phenomena. Tenebrae being my pick out of that lot. Fright Night, classic horror comedy. Tourist Trap, overlooked, well done early 80s slasher. Nightbreed, great costumes in this, well done movie. Cronenberg. Sleepy Hollow, Carnal Violence. This is Italian subtitles. Just remember that this is quite freaky, but it's also got some of the most beautiful women I've ever seen on celluloid ever. Bird with the Crystal Plumage, another Argento Giallo movie. Funny Man, British horror comedy, one of my favourite movies ever. Totally overlooked. Really, really cool, check it out. And another horror comedy, it's really hard case, Dead Snow. Zombie movie. And Forced. Oh, this is really interesting movie. Stop Start Animation. truly bizarre, truly surreal, really good. Classic Night of the Living Dead and Aftermath. And then we get down to your sort of your franchises like Nightmare on Elm Street, real classic. Part 2 and 3 in the original here. Part 4, Part 5. The Thing, really good, love that movie. The 3-pack here, Child's Play, Audrey Rose and Amityville. Another 3-pack there. People Under the Stairs, Wes Craven. The original Halloween. Halloween 3. Original Friday the 13th, and we just got all the sequels here up to 7. I'm missing 8 at the moment. Yeah. Oh, here's it. It's upside down and back to front. Really classic Fulci movie here, City of the Living Dead. One of my faves. Misery. Black Sheep, more of a comedy really. New Zealand movie. Cabin Fever. Cabin Fever 2. Dead Alive. This is Peter Jackson's, well, in my territory it's Brain Dead, which I must get the PAL release because this is the American copy, and it's actually got about 5 minutes chopped out of it, censored out of it. Malfique, a really interesting, unique French horror. I recommend checking it out. Classic 80s slasher, Happy Birthday to Me. Audition, bizarre and creepy Japanese movie. Rosemary's Baby, Polanski classic. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Dead and Buried, another atmospheric, quite well done movie, which is pretty hideous. This is a Troma. Oh no, it's a Full Moon release, the same people who did the Puppet Master movies. Actually quite a hoot, sort of bought her on a whim. I won't even try going to explain that one. This is Troma, Monster in the Closet. Haven't watched that yet. Suspiria, one of my favourite films of all time, a true nightmarish horror by Argento. It's probably his most well-known classic. Trick or Treat, a later horror, but quite unique. It's got Anna Paquin in it. Quite well done. 3-pack here, The Fog, Village of the Damned, and Prince of Darkness. The Guardian now, by Friedkin, the director of Exorcist. I remember this from when I was a kid. It freaked me out. Revisiting it quite a few years later. It's not as great as I remember, but still quite good. And of course all the Puppet Master movies, 1 to 5. It's not all of them. There's a couple more come out, but they're probably not worth getting. But they're a bit of a hoot. Yeah, the first 2 are my favourites out of that lot. The original Omen. Omen 2, which sucks. Should probably get rid of that. Cannibal Ferox, another one in the vein of Cannibal Holocaust. And yeah, quite extreme for its day, but it's a bit of a laugh now. And Romero's Day of the Dead. And Dawn of the Dead. And Fulci's Zombie 2. Special edition, 25 year. Real classic, that one. And what have we got? Just Jaws. Jaws there. And down here we have Hatchet 2 and the original Hatchet. They're just OTT, some pretty cool kills in it, in both of them. Wicker Man, probably the best British horror ever. Burial Ground, this is an Italian zombie movie. Quite B grade, but fun. Bloodsucking Freaks, yeah, it's quite bizarre, quite good though. Halloween 2, see, my movies aren't in any order here at all, by the way. Dusk Till Dawn, a good romp there by Tarantino. Rodriguez, sorry. Tarantino's in it. Drag Me to Hell. I actually quite enjoyed this. Sam Raimi made that. Original Wreck. Very well done. Scary zombie movie. Wolfen, early British horror. Haven't seen that yet. Scanners. Cronenberg classic. Subconscious Cruelty. This is a series of short stories. Some of them aren't so horrific, but some of them are very horrific. Very art house as well. Paranormal Activity. Yeah, I quite enjoyed the original for what it was, but I won't bother with the other ones. Driller Killer, notorious early 80s slasher, and it's quite cool because you get to see the underground music punk scene in New York as it was happening. I quite like that movie, real grimy and gritty. Double pack here, the original My Bloody Valentine, April Fool's Day, both great. Another double pack, 28 days later, 3 weeks later. You probably know of these, the zombie movies. The funny as Shaun of the Dead, and the less funny, in my opinion, Hot Fuzz. Oh, that's not a horror, but Shaun of the Dead is a horror comedy. 25 Years of Terror, sort of documentary detailing the Halloween series. Haven't watched it yet. A Spit on Your Grave, classic rape revenge. And this is a New Zealand horror comedy that I haven't seen yet. It's got a Rhys Darby from Flight of the Conchords and Jane Clement as well. Should be a bit of a hoot. Silence of the Lambs, Chronos. This is actually a really good take on the vampire genre. Quite unique, quite well done. And Alien 1 to 3. Now, it's sort of bordering on sci-fi, but still horror. So there you go. That's my mega but ever-growing horror collection. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. Take it easy.